Okay, Dave. So when I throw this word out, the word conspiracy, what does that mean to you? How do you interpret or define that word?
Well, it means something different to me than it means to most people that hear it. Most people hear it, they attach the word theory to conspiracy, and they
Right.
don't believe in conspiracy theories because that's what they've been programmed to, that there's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. But a conspiracy is when two or more people plan together for their own benefit. Do you think that ever happens? You two are a conspiracy, right?
Right.
You two are planning to do a podcast for your benefit. Okay. So, and the word conspiracy was hijacked by the CIA during the Kennedy assassination nonsense that was going on. So it's a completely hijacked term. When you bring up conspiracy theory, people automatically just shut off. So you know the difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact? About 6 months.
Well, welcome back to the Vision Lab podcast in partnership with Nexum Creative. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. Folks, at the end of the day, we're just two guys hanging out, having a bunch of cigars, talking to some really, really cool people. We've got an amazing show jam-packed for you guys today as we continue on to season 8. You've already heard a little bit about it, conspiracy, right? Maybe we need to start challenging the way we're looking at some of the things that we're used to. Hey, yo, Mo, what do we got on the show?
Well, today's guest is a native of Connecticut. He is a believer, as you guys heard earlier, in regards to conspiracies and everything that falls underneath that umbrella. We're going to get into why we have him on the show here very shortly. Please welcome David.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation. And I expect some minds to explode today. But if you hold on, at the end of the show, I have an offer for 3 Bitcoins. If you guys know what Bitcoins are,
Absolutely.
for one proof of what I'm saying is wrong.
So let's just jump on into it. Flat Earth Dave. Hey, when did all this start about? Like, how did you even come to the idea that, you know what, the world may not be a sphere?
Yeah, so it started, I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. You can still find it on iTunes and SoundCloud. And it was about conspiracies. It was basically myself and my truth-seeking partner, Tim, and then a third comedian, Mike Cannon, who basically tried to turn everything into a fart joke. And we were going through all of these conspiracies, and it was amazing. We're doing a lot of work on, I don't even want to talk about them because of the censorship, but people started sending me, hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth? And I was like, funny, delete, delete, delete. I actually banned people from our social media for repeatedly even asking me to look at something so as nonsensical as flat Earth. But then I was forced to look by somebody that I trust. And they sent me a couple of videos. I said, okay, that's it. I'm just going to disprove the globe, disprove flat Earth and prove the globe, and I'll be done with this. And for 2 weeks, day and night, I barely slept at all. I was trying to find one proof of the globe. We have all the proofs. What about, seasons? What about day and night? What about sunsets? What about seasons? What about, all of this stuff, eclipses? And every time I looked into them, I'm like, wow, what I thought was completely wrong. And I realized that I didn't know barely anything about the globe model. And what I thought I knew about flat Earth was complete and total nonsense. Like if flat Earth was what most people think it is, then I would laugh at those people too, because it's not. They want us to think that flat Earth is a pancake floating in space with other round planets. So that's not what it is. It's not a pancake floating with other pancakes. We don't even believe space is real. It's a hard one to wrap your mind around. So what is the flat Earth? Okay, if it's not a disc floating in space that you could fall off the edge. How come people don't fall off the edge? That's what people say. And the answer is because We live in what I call the Antarctic basin. What does that mean? Antarctica, they tell us, is a continent at the bottom of a spinning ball, 13,000 miles around. Okay. But that's not what Antarctica is. What Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. They don't teach you that in school, but it's the highest land on Earth. What happens when you have high land with a depression in the middle? If you pour water on the high land, where's it going to go? It's all going to go down into the basin. And the edge of that puddle, that pond, that lake, that ocean is where the land is higher than the water surface. So Antarctica is the shoreline that surrounds our world pond. All of the continents are surrounded by water. All of the water is surrounded by its container, which is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's the land that surrounds the ocean, the flat, what I call the world pond. What's out here in the outer space? The outer space, interesting concept, right? What's out here across the Earth plane? We don't know, because nobody's allowed to travel beyond 60 degrees south, which is this pink line, approximately. No one's allowed to independently travel out there. No oil company, no person, no king, nobody is allowed to go out there. And they have islands, all of these islands, the Falkland Islands. Remember the Falkland Islands War? Why are they fighting over an island which is like all the way out here? The little tiny island, it's because they're using them to stop anybody from going out here, because anybody that is able to, this is very harsh land, will find out that we don't live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite space vacuum. You know, real quick, and then I'll throw it back to you. If you believe in the heliocentric model, you believe that once upon a time there was nothing. It exploded and became everything, which is insane, but I'll give it to you. And then all of the rocky bits turned into balls, into rocky planets, and started spinning. And all of the gases somehow coalesced into bigger, gassy, more dense balls inside of a vacuum, leaving a vacuum in between. That's impossible. Gas balls in a vacuum. And these gas balls had enough gravity to hold on to these other rocky balls at immense distances away. And somehow they're all orbiting in a repeating pattern that are completely predictable, which is insane once you understand what the three-body problem is. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. It's orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. It's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. Let me just give you a slight concept of what those speeds are. This is the hypersonic sled track. Watch. This thing's going to whiz by at Mach 8.4. I'll show it again. You won't even be able to see it. This is Mach 8.4. You have to believe that the Earth, there it goes, the Earth is orbiting the sun 90 times faster than that. That's what you have to believe if you believe in the helio-nonsensical bullshit model.
So before we get into that model, so I see this amazing display of speed, right? I see this, right? But I would counter and say, well, okay, what if I still believe the Earth is moving that fast because it's such a gigantic mass that, you know, it's all proportional as far as the speed is concerned?
Yeah, so I get that people say, what about on an airplane? How come I can drink a glass of water on an airplane, or I can walk to the bathroom on an airplane? And I say, well, double the speed, take off the outside of the airplane, and let me know how your water and walk to the bathroom does, because we're on the outside of this ball spinning. Okay, and when you're going in a straight line, okay, imagine you're in a car going 100 miles an hour on a perfectly straight road, perfectly straight, perfectly ultra smooth road. You have a dinner plate filled with water. You could probably hold it, right? What happens when that car starts turning? Okay, when that car starts turning, even the slightest bit, all of that water is going to slosh off to the side. Well, we're dropping at such a rate, it's unbelievable. I think it's like 5 miles a minute, or just at the beginning. The drop of the Earth is ridiculous. We're also spinning in an elliptical orbit. We're speeding up, we're slowing down, we're speeding up, we're slowing down. But somehow, with all of those motions, we have lakes that look like this that aren't moving. Okay? You know what happens when you're moving water and you change its direction, right? This is impossible. I call it impossible. You can't have perfectly calm bodies of water that don't react to these motions, right? Belief is, you said, I believe the earth is flat. No, I know it's not a ball. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Okay. And I ask people, give me one proof for the globe. And nobody has been able to come up with one.
Well, that's where I was going to go next, Flat Earth.
So let me ask
we just had Richard Branson go up to space a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, or whatever. Any astronaut that looks back, are you saying that they are not being forthright in the truth by telling us that here's pictures of a sphere ball?
Yeah, I'm calling them absolute lying, shill actors and sellout, soulless people. If I could think of a nicer way to say it, which I can't. Richard Branson didn't go to space. You guys know what the zero-G plane is, right? You know what the zero-G plane? There's a plane for $5,000. You can go in this plane. It's like a 747, and it goes up really fast, and then it does this parabolic arc, and you get about 45 seconds of weightlessness. Okay, 45 seconds of weightlessness. That's fun. Costs you about $5,000. You get to do it like 5 or 6 times, whatever. Richard Branson, if he did it at all, he went up and did in a zero-G plane. You saw, if you watch all of the footage, they only show 2-3 seconds of him floating, of any of them floating. 3-second clip, 3-second clip. It was a whole bunch of clips together. They say they were floating for 4.5 minutes. Show me the unedited video of them floating for 4.5 minutes. All they were was in a zero-G plane. And because of all the stuff that we've put out, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, moved the Global Post. He moved it again. He did an interview yesterday that said Richard Branson never went to space. He just went up high enough and free fell. He admitted it, that it wasn't really space. Okay. So again, you know, when you look at these things, it's absolute ridiculousness. If you're not sure what the zero-G plane is, I have a video that'll show you. There was a scene where it was on the mornings, and they said this was years ago. They said, we're gonna have a live interview with the guys in the space station, and they said we only have them for about 45 seconds. Well, that's about the same length as a zero-G flight. This is a zero-G flight. Both of these. This one looks like the space station, but it's zero-G flight. And so these guys, during the middle of the interview, all of a sudden they slammed into the wall and the TV cut away. I'm like, that's weird, right? But if you flip this video sideways, you'll see that this is just the end of a zero-G flight. So here's a zero-G plane, right? It shows you, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when this is the end of the zero-G, the end of the parabolic arc, and this is what we saw on the news. Watch this guy here. He catches that duct tape with one hand and another item with the same hand, like he's done it 50 times, right? They screwed up and they got caught ending the zero-G flight. They said it was a catastrophic shift in the space station, or an unexpected shift. No, it was the end of a zero-G flight.
So
if I could show you that NASA, if I could real quick, if I could show you NASA's lying once, you can unwind it too. We didn't go to the moon. Check this out. They got a fresh lemon up on the space station. Watch. That's not a real lemon. It's CGI. His hand goes right through the lemon. It's not a real object. They're manipulating what I call augmented reality, right? They're manipulating CGI objects.
So at the risk of asking the simplest question when people talk about the earth being flat, why have we never heard or seen reports or stories or what have you? Why have we never heard of somebody sailing the earth and just falling off the side and never being heard from again?
If you were on a lake, let's say you were in Kansas, it's kind of flat there, and you're on a big lake. So we're doing a smaller scale model of what the earth plane really is. You're in the middle of Kansas and you're on a lake that has a 10-mile circumference. Okay. And there's a bunch of islands on that lake. You're sailing around the lake, right? The North Pole is at the center of the flat earth. Okay. So at the center of the flat earth is a magnetic pole, and all compasses will point to there. Right. So if you're trying to go east or west, you can circle east and west are circles around the magnetic north. But if you sailed to the edge of your lake, what happens when you get to the edge of the lake? Do you fall off the lake? No.
No.
You don't fall off the lake. You step up onto the land. Well, that land is called Antarctica. Okay. So if you go to Antarctica, you don't fall off the edge of a disc floating in space. That's what they want you to believe. Antarctica is most of it's frozen. There's some areas where you can pull a boat up, where there's rocks and stuff. But this is the Antarctic ice plain. It goes on. We don't know how far. We live on this extended plain and we live within this earth pond, and the pond is melted out by our small local sun, which migrates. I'll show you how seasons work in a moment. But this is the end. You don't fall off. You get here, and here's Antarctica. Nobody is allowed to independently explore out there in Antarctica. You could spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to go to Antarctica for a couple of days, right? So they take you on this, they get you to Antarctica. You get to go like right here to this little peninsula. They'll show you some icebergs, they'll show you some penguins. You stay on the ship most of the time. If you're lucky, maybe they'll bring you out here to a ceremonial pole. They'll tell you it's the South Pole, but it's a ceremonial South Pole. And then they kick you out. You're gone. Nobody is allowed to go out here. The last person to go out there was Admiral Byrd in the 1950s, 40s and 50s. He went out there and said, there's more land beyond the pole. Beyond the pole, that's when interesting, right? That is bigger than the United States, filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon. And then he died.
Magically.
He was a young guy. He died. And that was the end of that story.
So before I get to the question that has just popped in my mind as you described the story, I have to say thank you to one of our sponsors, one of the people who support Smoke Cigar Lounge. Congrats on you guys' new location there in Lancaster, Texas. DFW, any visionaries, anybody, if you're here in DFW and you go to the southern part of the Metroplex, make sure you get the Blow Smoke Cigar Lounge in Lancaster. Great service, great staff, like great people, first of all. Like as soon as you walk in the door, you're gonna feel like you're at home. They'll make sure you're taken care of. The name of the lounge is Blown Smoke Cigar Lounge. Make sure you get to it as soon as possible. So Admiral Byrd goes out there and sees this truly uncharted territory, crosses into the land that no man ever seen before, where Godzilla and King Kong hang out and all this good stuff, and he magically dies. Right?
Yeah.
So to your point, when it comes to the whole concept of conspiracies and all that good stuff, in your opinion, right? Do you think that Admiral Byrd died of natural causes? Or do you think somebody on a higher level said, "Hey, we don't need you exposing that information"?
Well, there's a couple different possibilities. The answer is, I don't know. He was a Freemason. Maybe he was telling us the truth because they always have to tell us the truth. It's called the revelation of the method. And maybe it was purposely leaked and then they, disappeared him. Maybe he was killed. Maybe he wasn't supposed to leak it. I don't know. Couldn't tell you how. I'd be guessing if I said I knew. But they started discovering they discovered the ice wall in 1956. Does that say? I can't see it. 1946. And that's where they started doing that. Then they went on to Operation Deep Freeze, where they discovered the firmament, the dome, it appears. Then they created NASA. So that put a fence over us. Then they started the Antarctic Treaty, where a dozen or so countries signed on. Now they've all signed on. Everyone during all of this time of war, of resources and everything, and all these countries, no treaty has ever held up. Since 1959, this treaty has been in place, is in place, can't even be questioned till the year 2041, I believe. Okay. Nobody is allowed to go there. It's still in place. We could burn down the Amazon, no problem, but we can't disturb the penguins, okay, in Antarctica, right? It holds up over time. Baloney. This is because they know. Right. And then we got Operation Fishbowl, where they're trying to blow a hole in whatever is above us. And then they have the Apollo missions to make you believe you can walk on a ball, which is ridiculous. Okay.
Let me ask you this then, David. So, okay, you just talked, so the moon landing. So, in all actuality, in your opinion, what really happened when we quote unquote landed on the moon?
Well, the first thing you have to, scratch your head about is all of these guys getting together. You have a NASA astronaut, you have, what is this guy? A NASA, who's that? I can't, it's blocked for me. A NASA advisor, you have an astronaut, Arthur C. Clarke, you have Stanley Kubrick, a NASA administrator, all getting together in Hollywood in 1965, just before the Apollo missions. Okay, that's interesting. You gotta wonder what the heck's going on there. And then if you actually look at the moon landings, like when I first heard about flat Earth, I was like, what about the moon landings? That was my my go-to. Like, wait a minute, right? The moon landings were only done to control your mind. Watch this. This guy drops his hammer and he can't pick it up because he's hanging from wires and he can't get it to give him enough slack to get down. Okay. This is what they showed us. Look at the horizon. It's right there. This is a stage in Hollywood. He can't pick it up because he's on wires. And there's many times where we can actually see the wire above him. Okay. It's ridiculous when you look at it, right? Check this out. This is the lander connecting with the orbiter. This thing, right? Does this look like a 5th grade project for, or a homeless tweaker shelter? This is what they showed us. This is a spaceship. Look at this thing. You have to laugh, right? People show up, they go, well, that's not the real footage, right? And just the other day, was it Buzz Aldrin? Buzz or one of the astronauts was on with Conan or somebody. And Conan's like, yeah, well, I remember I was a kid and I saw you when the first guy on the moon, Neil Armstrong. Was it Neil Armstrong? I get my astronauts mixed up because they're all liars. He said, I saw it on TV, and he interrupted him. He goes, no, you didn't. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, you saw an animation because there was no camera filming us. We didn't have TV cameras there. What? He admitted, right? They're constantly trying to, they're moving, what we say, moving the globe post because we're exposed to us. All right. But we expose them constantly.
So, Dave, let me ask this. Why do they want to hide this information from us? Why do they not want us to know the Earth is flat?
Why the lie? Why the lie? Yeah. So the answer is, there's a couple answers. One is they're hiding more resources, more land. They're hiding the fact that we are at the center of creation. They're hiding our spirituality. They're hiding more resources. They're hiding knowledge from us. They're hiding our true divinity, and they're making you feel insignificant and like you have no power. The only power the government has over you, govern is to control, meant as your mind, is in your imagination. If everyone woke up tomorrow and says, you know what, I don't think the government's here for our benefit, I'm going to ignore them. Well, we wouldn't even know who they were because they're so small. They're nothing. But they've convinced us through the media, through ridiculous, through extortion and all sorts of stuff, that we think they're all powerful. Nobody has dominion over us. They're not allowed to take away our free will, and they know it. But they're allowed to kind of like, hey, we'll tell them. And then if they still give it to us, then we're karma free, right? And that's what's going on. They do that to hide the creator. That's it. Also, they don't want you in a position. So here's the thing. I was pretty much, if you had to label me, I was an atheist. I believed in evolution. I believed in the Big Bang. I believed in the cosmos. I believed in everything. And I said, there's no proof of God, but then I really never thought about it. But when you understand what this place is, it's not from a Big Bang. It's intelligently designed. What does that mean? It means there's a creator. Okay. That means somebody created this place. There's a creator. And they don't want you in a position where you can't deny the creator, because once you understand that there's a creator, you become a different person. You become, you start, not that I was a bad person, you start being a better person. You start understanding that your thoughts have power. They don't want you to know, right? They say, work hard, save your money. When you're too old to enjoy it, you can retire, and hopefully you can not starve to death before you die of old age or cancer. Okay. But they don't want you to know that your thoughts create your reality. Everything you guys have in your life is because of the way that you think. Okay. It's how you bring things into your life. They don't want you to know the power of the words that come out of your mouth. They don't want you to know the power of your thoughts and the power of your emotions. These things create our world, and they keep us. If you watch the news, I won't turn the news on for 5 friggin' minutes because I did it like a year or two ago and it was horrible. It was just, it's horrible. It's hypnosis. It's fear. They want you watching that news, living in fear, believing in lack of resources, believing in nuclear bombs. Kim Jong-un's going to blow us up. We're running out of oil. The global warming is going to take us out. All nonsense, right? We're going to Mars. Elon Musk says we're going to Mars. That is the biggest joke ever. Mars doesn't exist. Okay. All of this stuff is nonsense. And once you understand it, so the way they keep it from us is making us think that we're insignificant, that we live on a ball flying through an infinite universe with at best a distant God. Okay. And that's not the case at all.
So what do you mean Mars doesn't exist? Hold on a second.
Don't take space away from me, please. Don't take space.
I love the movie The Martian, and you have destroyed it for me now. What's going on?
Listen, my favorite movies, Star Trek. I grew up on the original Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, all of the movies, Mission to Mars. Loved it all. It's all nonsense. Okay. This is Mars. Our optics have outgrown their lives. When you zoom in on Mars, this is what you see. Okay. These friggin' CGI balls that they tell us are up there. This is what NASA says is out there. And this is what the most powerful zoom lenses tell us is out there. Okay. What are these things? They're small. They're here. They're within our atmosphere. They're within the sky. You look like right now, tonight, when we're done with this podcast, go outside while it's still light and look at the moon. There's a huge moon in the day sky. Clear your head from the baloney that you were taught, and you'll see there's blue sky beyond the moon. It's here. It's close. It's local within our sky, and that's provable. That's not just a theory. That's provable. But when you zoom in, this is the star Arcturus. Does that look like a burning ball at a ridiculous, impossible distance away from us? This is the star Arcturus. This one's Arcturus. Sorry about that. The other one was Capella, right? Look at that. That's not a burning ball that, hundreds of times bigger than the sun. Here's a whole bunch of different stars. They kind of look like they're underwater. Interesting why NASA, all of their terms for everything in the sky is nautical terms. Okay. The Sea of Tranquility, their ships, their docking, it's all about water. Right? In the flat earth model, most of us believe that there's waters above and waters below, and we live on this plane in between. Page 1, I don't know if you guys are Bible guys. I'm not. Yeah. My co-host is. Okay. I'm not saying that I'm not a proficient on the Bible. Page 1 of the Bible. God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament and created the two lights in the sky, the greater one for the day and the lesser one for the night. Okay. They're the same size, but we're told the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon and 400 times farther, which makes them look like the same size when in fact they're 400 times bigger and 400 times farther. And somehow in this beehive crazy universe, the two of them will line up and cause an eclipse. The chances of that happening are 0.0. I can't list the number of zeros because we don't have the amount of time of that happening to 1. Okay. And then here's the problem. That's for it happening once. Eclipses happen every single year. And after 18 years, guess what happens? The whole cycle repeats again. NASA is not using the heliocentric model to prove eclipses. They're using the Soros cycle, which tells you exactly when the eclipses are going to happen again and again and again and again. That's impossible in a beehive heliocentric, nonsensical spinning Earth system. I mean, we're told that, we're moving in 4 different directions at once. 4 different directions at once. We're corkscrewing through space, but somehow we can predict where everything's going to be. NASA, the greatest computers in the world, can't do 3 bodies in the same simulation. Right? You got 2 bodies orbiting each other, a small Earth and a bigger sun, and the amount of gravity, and they work perfectly, and you can predict where they're going to be. Add 1 more body, a moon or another planet, into that simulation. The entire simulation goes into chaos mode, and no computer in the world can figure out what's going to happen next.
So, right. So before we switch gears, right? Allow me to say thank you to another group who has supported us. And that's the good folks at Class A Vodka. Crystal and Tim, thank you guys so much for all your support. Visionaries, Dave. The name of the product is Class A Vodka. The slogan is Class Glass. We promise you we stand on it for a reason. Send them an Instagram DM. The stand on the product for a reason. Make sure you get your hands on a bottle of Class A vodka. I want to switch gears for a second, Dave.
Sure.
You mentioned something about mindset, right? And ultimately, the Vision Lab is about having a growth mindset. And like you said, you were a very staunch believer in certain things before some of this stuff was introduced to you. And you said in this show just a few minutes ago that everything we have in our lives is essentially because of our mindset, so on and so forth. Excuse me. When did you discover, essentially, for lack of better phrasing, the power of the mind? Because you were very devout one way, and then you dove into this head first, and now your mindset has completely changed.
Well, it's because we're all born innocent, and children will believe anybody until you burn them a couple times, right? Then they're like, oh, that person's not trustworthy. Maybe other people aren't trustworthy, right? But we're all generally good people, and you want to trust good people. Like, you guys like me. You're like, I think he's telling me the truth, and now you're willing to look into it. But they've convinced us that, that we just automatically believe. Like, when you're a kid, you go to school, your kindergarten teacher is a god. Oh my God, whatever they say is the truth. At the front of the room, they have a globe. Okay, that's right at the front of the room. The Sesame Street has astronauts on it. Walt Disney, has astronauts. It's all programming for your mind, because if you capture the mind young, and there's professors, there's people today that are that believe that the Earth is a globe because they built their whole world around that. Right? They built all their views around it, and in getting some people to change, it's near impossible. But once you unwrap it, you realize that everything works better on a flat Earth. There's 3 baskets. Works on a flat Earth, plenty of things do. Works on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, lots of things work on both. Works just on a globe Earth, empty basket. Nothing's there, empty. Okay? So here's the challenge I have for people. I made an app. I'm going to show you the app, and I'm going to show you how seasons work on the app. And then the challenge is, for the 3 Bitcoins, is just show me one proof of the globe, just one, and you win 3 Bitcoins. So can I share my screen here for a sec? If I
Absolutely.
Where did my?
Of course you can.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find my my thing disappeared. Of course, as I'm trying to do some QuickTime Player, why isn't it showing? We're gonna have to just. Oops, there it goes. Give me 1 second. So sorry about that. So I created an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And the reason I did is because if you search Flat Earth, you're going to end up finding just garbage, just stuff that they want you to find, all of the nonsense videos. Okay. There we go. All right, so share screen. There it is. And so this bypasses the YouTube censorship. The censorship is unreal. How much censorship they're doing. So if you want to find out the truth of our world, this is the best way to do it. So real quick, the sky is a perfect clock. The sun is the hour hand. It keeps track of the hours and the days. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. So right now it's noon in Central Australia. Okay. And the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. If I speed it up, you'll see that the sun laps the moon every 28 days. So it's gaining distance on the moon. The moon phase is changing. When they're 180 degrees opposed to each other, you have a full moon. And then as it starts catching up to the moon will start waning and get smaller and smaller. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days, but they hijacked that also. If I slow this down now and turn on the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Right now, the sun is moving out of Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer, because the stars are going slightly faster than the sun, where it takes the stars 365 laps around to lap the sun once. So right now, the sun will fade back into Leo for about a month, and then it'll fade into the next one, and all the way around until a year from now, it'll be right back here between Cancer and Leo. So the stars keep track of the seasons and years. This is impossible on a beehive universe. But let me show you how seasons work. So you have this inner yellow line, which is the Tropic of Cancer. You guys have all heard that. It's like, what is it? The sun is in the Tropic of Cancer? How is that? The sun's moving. I never understood it. And then the outer line is the Tropic of Capricorn. So the sun migrates. It's 6 months it takes. It comes all the way into June 21st. It's over the Tropic of Cancer. And then it migrates all the way out to December 21st, the Tropic of Capricorn. So right now you can see that it's halfway, it's moving away, it's moving back outwards to the outer south, heading towards the middle line, which is the equator. It'll be over the equator on the equinox on March 21st or September 21st, when it marches its way out there. Right now, it's hot in Miami and Texas. You know why? Because look how close the sun was, right? The sun is close. It's going to go right over Miami. It's, southern Texas, really hot, because the sun is pretty darn close, but it's getting cooler because the sun is moving out. It's winter in Australia. Okay. It's the end of their winter because the sun is moving out. I'm moving the sun out to December, and it's over the Tropic of Capricorn. Now it's summertime in Australia in the outer southern lands, and it's colder here in Connecticut. Everything freezes. The lakes freeze. It's frozen. We get snow because I'm all the way here, if you can see my mouse, and the sun is all the way out here, far away. Imagine if you and I were sitting out, two of us were sitting outside 20 feet apart, freezing cold. You're here. You came to Connecticut to visit me in December. Bad choice. Okay. There's snow on the ground, and somebody holds a heat lamp over me, directly above me, 10 feet above me. I look up. There's that lamp. I feel the warmth. It's directly above me. I have that direct sun. You look at the lamp and it's over there. It's lower in the sky. It's lower in the sky, farther away. You can barely feel the heat. Okay. Then I move that light over to you, Tropic of Capricorn, and I look at the light. It's low. You look at the light. It's above you. It's close. It's your summer. It's not the tilt of the earth. That makes no sense, because if it was the tilt of the earth, like they tell us, and then at sunrise, it should be freezing cold in June. It should be freezing, but it's not. It's not. Sunrise in June is warmer than noon in December here in Connecticut. Okay. So here's the challenge. Every day there's a new video that shows up. You just tap this featured video thumbnail, and up comes a new video every day. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks. And if you still think the earth is a globe, you send me an email, info@the Flat Earth Podcast, with your proof. Be succinct, and you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do it, you have to hit the question mark, and up come every question that you're going to ask. What about eclipses? What about seasons, which we just talked about? Where's the edge, which we talked about? Ships over the horizons. YouTube, open YouTube, and here is a list of videos that Google doesn't want you to see. These ones, you won't be able to find these very easily. You Google flat earth, ships over the horizon, you're going to get all of these debunking videos, okay, which are nonsense, okay? So, whoops. So there are all those questions down on this page, which is the web page. All of our interviews, our interview will be right here under interviews. The lost history of flat earth, blow your mind. Mud floods, bottom right corner. If you don't know about Tartaria, blow your mind. Biblical flat earth, even if you don't believe in the Bible, hit that button, watch some of those videos. Your mind will be blown. Tons of stuff, books on flat earth, all sorts of stuff, and all sorts of pictures. Like if you're a flat earther, stuff to help you, like talk about the moon landing. Look at this, guys. Is this a homeless tweaker shelter, or is this what they landed on the moon in? Look at it. Look at it. Be honest.
That's pretty funny.
This looks like a pretty good high school class project in the science fair to me.
I would give them a D for that project. They used tin foil, paper mache, foil tape, curtain rods. It's nonsense. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. You have to believe that this is airtight. Okay. It's made from cardboard.
Flat Earth Dave.
This is what
okay,
they want you
so
to believe, that they went to the moon. And then better than that, this thing.
you're talking about space right now.
There you go.
Earlier you said that there is no such thing as space. Can you go into that a little bit?
Correct. Yeah. So what is we believe, and by the way, not all flat earthers agree on the total makeup of this world. We're trying to figure it out, because maybe it's an extended plane. Maybe this is all there is, and we just live here in this one puddle inside of this dome where everything circles around. All the luminaries above us circle around. But what if there's more land outside of our puddle? Maybe there's another puddle. Maybe there's millions of other puddles with their own sun, moon, and stars. Maybe there's a ring around us. This is Antarctica, and there's extra land out here, more territory, extra territory. You might call that an extraterrestrial if somebody lived there in this outer space. They come into the inner space. They'd be an extraterrestrial from outer space. Maybe it looks something like this, and there's multiple domes over domes. This is an old map that was found in Hawaii, a Japanese map, 10 centuries old, showing like 30 some odd continents outside of Antarctica. What's that about? All right. Here's the thing. You want to prove the earth is not flat? I mean, not flat. Here's the simplest thing. Get 2 airplanes, fly them to the base over here in Antarctica. Get a bunch of people, you guys, me, Neil deGrasse Tyson, school teachers, professors, everybody. 2 planes. One plane flies at like 1,000 feet in the air, just follows the coast. Just keep the coast the whole time in view. The other plane goes this way. Everyone's looking out the right window. 7,000 miles later, it's 13,000 miles around, 13, whatever, 6,500 miles later, the plane should meet over here, like, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever it takes. But you can't, because it's way, way, way bigger than that. The last person to try to go around was our good friend Captain Cook again. Took him 3.5 years. He went over 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles. The equator is only 24,000 miles around. He went over 60,000 miles. It's supposed to be 13,000 miles. Okay. But they'll never do it because they can't. They're not allowed to. It's not costing a lot of money. People say, well, what if they ever took you into space? That's a straw man argument. It's never going to happen because nobody's been to space. Nobody goes up on those rockets ever. They're all faked, right? There are rockets that go up. They don't go up that high. They all curve over and they crash right into the ocean. Nobody's on them ever.
So those astronauts who quote unquote have perished, trying to get to the next frontier, where are they at?
Which astronauts? These astronauts that were on the Challenger that all work for universities now, and they claim that they're their identical twin of each of the astronauts that died. They go by the same name. They have the same birthday. They sound the same. They talk the same. Okay. And none of them showed up at their siblings' funerals. Not one of them showed up at their siblings' funeral. They all work for universities.
So Krista McAuliffe is somewhere teaching at a school right now.
Right here. I think she works at Cornell. Not sure. I'm not sure if it's Cornell or one of them. Absolutely. And she goes by her middle name now. But we have videos. I believe they're linked on the app under the NASA fakery, showing exposing all of this. But right in our faces, nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Right. And people, they just deny it. They say, well, no, there's no record of them having twins. 6 of the 7 have twins, right? We just didn't find the other one. Okay. Maybe he did die. Who knows, in another way. But this is unbelievable. This, was it Dick Scobie? One of these guys had a corporation called Cows and Trees or something like that. And we found their website, and the animation on their website was a cow in a field taking off like a rocket with smoke coming out of his ass, doing this loop-de-loop, leaving the same trail that we saw from the friggin' Challenger. And when we pointed it out in videos, bam, website went down, disappeared. The corporation just disappeared, gone, wiped out of existence. Right? Maybe that was him trying to give a clue or something. The whistle recently, one of them said, no one's been to space. Earth is flat. I assure you, Earth is flat.
So you kind of open the door in regards to people, right?
Yeah.
People who have supported us for a long time. And that's the good folks at Dallas Leaf LLC. The Instagram handle is at Dallas Leaf LLC. The website is dallasleafllc.com. Whether it's cigars, entertainment events, charitable and philanthropy, give the good folks at Dallas Leaf. They show up in numbers. We can attest to that personally. Again, get with the good folks at Dallas Leaf LLC. They will make sure you get more than your money's worth. So now you've opened the door in regards to people, right? So you're in this very interesting space that you occupy now, right? Like the name, Dave, Flat Earther, all that good stuff. Who have been some of the biggest influences on you when it comes to this space that you occupy, this lane, if you will?
Well, I mean, we all influence each other. There's some big flat earthers. Eric Dubay was one of the first guys out here. He's some of the first videos I watched. Mark Sargent released a series called Flat Earth Clues, which really got me thinking. There's ODD TV, amazing documentary stuff. His YouTube channel, both of them got taken down today of this recording. He had 380,000 subs, I believe. And his channel was taken down. They're literally coming after us. All of this information is going down the memory hole. They're trying to pigeonhole us onto other platforms where no sleeping people go. I mean, you go to a sleeping person, they never heard of BitChute, Odyssey, Rockfin. These are other places that they want us going to, because then we'll just be preaching to the choir. I'm here talking to guys like you, your audience, other people, because this is where the sleeping people are. Not no offense, but there's people that don't know that they don't know. They're ignorant because they don't know. That's it. They don't even know that they're ignorant. I was one of them.
We said at the very beginning before we hit the record button, we don't know what we don't know.
Here's the thing. Flat earthers know that they don't know a lot. Globers think they know everything. Okay, but they know nothing. We have one guy, Austin from Wits It Gets It channel. He's been traveling the country for about a half a year, and he goes out he's got his microphone and his speaker, and he goes to places like Washington Square Park in New York City and Niagara Falls. He's in Michigan. He's at sports games all over the place, and he's just preaching about flat Earth. And people gather around him, and when they sell a bill, he goes for 3 simple questions about your globe. 3 simple questions. You can answer them. You get the $100. And the first one is, how many times does your globe spin in 24 hours? Right? Pretty easy question. Most people get it wrong. It's once. Next question is, what's the diameter of the Earth? What's the circumference of the Earth? How fast is it orbiting? Nobody knows. And they're the ones that argue to defend their ball. The people that think flat Earth is stupid have 2 things in common. They have no idea how their model works, and they have the wrong idea of what flat Earth is. Like, you could fall off the edge. There is no edge to a lake. There's an edge to a lake, but you don't fall off a lake. Okay? There's people think circle.
Well, we have first of all, Dave, this has been very this has been eye-opening, right? So we'll let everybody behind the curtain here for a second, right? So you sent a DM via Instagram, and Cuff and I are both like, oh, okay, this ought to be interesting. And then as we're days leading into this interview, I was asking myself, like, okay, have an open mind, because obviously this goes against everything they teach you in school in regards to the Earth being flat, so on and so forth.
Right.
I don't know if I still quote unquote agree with you, but you have made some very good points, and you have stoked the fire to where, like, okay, you know what, I need to actually do the digging and research so I can get an understanding for myself, and that means you've done a good job. We've gotten to the point of the show where it's time to. Sure, go ahead.
Can I show you one more thing before? So, going from Santiago to Australia, they go all the way up across the equator to the north, across and all the way down. And if you want to go to Western Australia, the flight path, check this out, goes all the way up here, all the way over to friggin' the Far East, Japan, Singapore, and down. It goes all the way over like this. Why doesn't it just cut across the bottom of the ball, right? Because this would be the shortest strip right there. But instead, they go all the way up to the north. And the answer is because the Earth is flat. If you want to go to Western Australia, remember it goes all the way up across the United States, Far East, Singapore, straight line. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. The FAA manuals, CIA documents all disclosed, all, Freedom of Information Act, talk about they use a flat, non-rotating plane for all of their modeling. Flat, non-rotating plane, Earth plane, sea level, not sea curve, not Earth, the air globe. It's unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Last thing, and then I'll let you guys take it. If here's a flight from Taiwan to LA, right? Here's Hawaii. There was a medical emergency. Excuse me. So again, LA, from Taiwan to LA, medical emergency right here. Here's Hawaii, about right here. If you're the pilot, where are you going to land? You got to land the plane quick. Someone's dying. Someone's giving a baby, whatever it was. You'd land in Hawaii. Maybe you'd land over in LA, but instead they went couple thousand miles out of the way to Alaska. Why did they go to Alaska? And the answer is because this is the real route that they took. They went here, emergency, Alaska's right there. Hawaii is all the way out here. Okay. Straight line. There's over 16 emergency landings that prove the Earth is flat. They land in ridiculous places for the globe. Make no sense whatsoever. But every single one of those landings, if you draw on the flat Earth map, if you draw a line from the origin to the destination, the airport that they chose to land at is right on that line every single time. 16 times. And guess who runs all of the GPS? Guess who runs all of the flight routes? Guess who runs all of the radar? NASA, not a space agency. NASA. NASA's the highest consumer of helium, and they own all the big helium companies in the world. Why does NASA use so much helium? Are they launching blimps into the air?
Another nugget that you provided for us and the visionaries to think about. So we've reached a part of the show we call It's Time to Land the Plane, if you will. The segment is brought to you by the good folks at Grand Brûlot Cognac. Yeah, no pun intended. I know you caught that. Thank you to Francisco, the owner, Jameson and the Lovers team, everyone who had a hand in this partnership. Visionaries, this is unlike anything you've ever tasted. We stand on it for a reason. Make sure you get your hands on a bottle of Grand Brûlot at your nearest liquor store / hangout watering hole, whatever it is you choose to drink. So the question we ask everybody as we get ready to land the plane. It's you, and there's a round table, and there are 5 other people. You can have whatever 5 people you want at that table, Dave. The only stipulation or caveat, if you will, is that you can't have whatever higher power than you actually believe in, or in your terms, the creator. You can't have him there because that's too easy. Who would want to talk to him?
So I have to pick 5 people that are sitting at the table with me? I mean, there's so many choices. They'd all have to be flat earthers, or they're not coming to the table. Of course, my girlfriend and my kids. Can I say that? And
how many kids?
I have a whole list of people after them. But what's that? Between my girlfriend and I, we have 4 kids. So we already got 6 at the table. So I only got 5 seats. All right. So we'll kick out my my son. I don't know. Because the rest are girls, right? And then I don't want them to cry. So yeah.
So first of all, apologize about my internet connection. Thanks for toughing it out with us. A lot of great information. Where can our visionaries get a hold of Flat Earth Dave?
The best place is to get the app. It's available on iTunes. You need an iPhone 6 or better. An iPad works great. Android and the Google Play Store, you need operating OS operating system 8.0 or higher. You can find me at theflatearthpodcast.com, but it's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Make sure it's by Blue Water Bay. It's the highest rated app in both stores. There's a knockoff by the Flat Earth Society people. It's called the Ron Media Group on the Play Store. The Flat Earth Society is, if you Google Flat Earth, you're going to end up there. It's a government-run disinformation site. They don't want you finding the information. Feel free to get their app, but don't send me an email telling me my app sucks, because that's not my app. Highest rated app, as I said. Everyone loves it. If you don't want to buy the app, it's $3 one-time charge. Just read the reviews. That'll turn you into a flat earther. It's everybody loves it. And I've got some great improvements coming out on it where you're going to be able to find other flat earthers near you using the app. super good way to bring people together when everyone in the world or the powers that want to be are trying to keep us apart.
Okay. Last question of the podcast. What advice would Flat Earth Dave be giving himself from 5 years ago?
Don't let them control your mind with cartoons.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Now let's fast forward the clock 5 years from now. What advice is the older version of Flat Earth Dave? What advice is he giving you today?
Don't succumb to peer pressure, and maintain your position if you believe it to be the truth.
Well, I, for one, want to say another thank you for being on to the show. A lot of thought-provoking ideas and content that you dropped on us today. Remember, visionaries, each one of our guests are dropping nuggets of wisdom here on the Trail of Life. Ultimately, it's up to you to pick them up.
And last point, don't believe anything I say. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Go out and verify it yourself, right? The app will lead you to information that you can go replicate. Like, unlike NASA, where you can't verify anything, you can verify all of the stuff that we show you on the app. It'll show you, it's organized it for you, it documents it, then go out and do it yourself. That's what I did. I started seeing all these things. We could see too far. And so I bought $1,000 worth of equipment, zoomed in on things that should be behind the curve, and there they are. Like, wow, you can't see them with your naked eye, but now our optics have outgrown their lies. So there you go.
Well, Dave, first of all, thank you for reaching out to us through social media. The power of social media is real. Cuff and I are always talking about we need to get something that is kind of off the beaten path, and you showed up right on time. So thank you, sir, so much. We appreciate it. Visionaries, my name is Ryan Mosley. My partner's name is Ryan Cuffey. The voice you've been listening to and the face you've been watching is David Weiss. David, thank you again for your time, and we will see you guys next week on another great episode of the TheVisionLab podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Blessings.